about to leave, already packing. Come with me, I'm not really asking. We'll get away to a place where we don't know. About to see the world in action, what we can be, life with no distractions. We'll get away, this is what we waited for. Take my hand, we'll make it somehow. We can't miss out. I'm done living life with the lights out. Die with my own doubts. Be free with me. Let's go, let's be free with Not looking back, eyes on the freeway, Bonnie and Clyde, a classic cliche. We're on the run, this is what we waited for. Take my hand, we'll make it somehow. We can't miss out. I'm done living life with the lights out. Die with my own doubts. Be free.
Hello, welcome to this evening's live stream. So I've just got Fiona joining us at the moment. There we are. Hi, Fiona.
Hello.
We were just having a bit of a panic that Fiona's been stuck in traffic, so she's literally just got through the door. So on the screen with Fiona, we've also got Brendan in the middle, who is a familiar face on our live streams. Hopefully you know that we are revising population and environment tonight. It is a paper 2 optional topic, but it is one of the most popular of all the options. So hopefully we'll have quite a few joining, and actually by the looks of it that we do. So as usual, we'll be going through lots of bits of population environment with lots of different activities for you to respond to in the chat window. And if you have any questions as we go along, please ask us and we'll do our very best to spot those and try and answer them for you. So hope you are both well, Fiona and Brendan. Good, and we're all ready.
Thank you.
Brilliant.
Glad to be here.
Well, we're very glad that you were here, because we were just having a little bit of a panic that I was going to have to present your bits, which is not very easy.
Sorry everybody.
No, it's fine. It's not very easy when you're sort of manning the controls and what have you as well. Right, so I think you're kicking off, Brendan, with multiple choice activities. So let's get started.
Let's go. Right, everybody. Okay, first question is a multiple choice. Let's have a look at it. It's a population structure diagram, aka population pyramid. This one actually does look like a pyramid. So the first question is, Nigeria's population structure shows one of the following, A, B, C, or D. I'm not going to read them out for you. You can read them yourselves. Take a moment to think what you think it is, and then put your answer in the chat. I'll give you a certain amount of seconds to work that out. And I think your time's up now. So make your guess. The answer is it has a youthful population. You can see an awful lot of the numbers of people would be in the lower age groups, young adults and younger, down to babies. Right, next question. Question number 2. We're now going to look at Japan's population structure. Which of the following 4 things does it show? Once again, read through the options A, B, C, and D and make your selection. Which of those following, A, B, C, and D, does Japan's population structure show? Okay, make your guess, and now let's have a look at the answer. It does indeed have an ageing population. You can see it's quite top heavy there, with very large numbers of people compared to the younger age groups in the groups of seniors, and then in fact anyone really over the age of 45. Most of the population would be in that age group by quite a long way. Okay, let's have a look at number 3. Number 3, even though it says number 1, I think it's number 3.
Sorry.
And that one is number 3.
That is number 3.
Yes, it's just an illusion. Okay, this is number 3. So UAE's population, United Arab Emirates, population structure shows one of the following things: A, B, C, or D. Once again, read through them and make your selection. Which of those 4 things would you say that the UAE is showing with its population structure diagram? Good guesses, right? Or answers even. Let's have a look at your answer. It is indeed C. It's got large numbers of migrants living there. That's why it has a very skewed population towards the male side. A lot of the migrants would be coming from the Indian subcontinent to work in that country. Okay, let's have a look at number 4. Which of the following is an example of a cultural control affecting natural population change? Think about that one. Which of the following is an example of cultural control affecting natural population change? Once again, read through the answers carefully, A, B, C, and D, and then make your answer and type it in the chat if you can. Good answers coming through. Let's have a look at the answer. The correct answer there is a 2-child policy set by government. And let's move on now to the bubble quiz.
Okay, so it's over to me now for the bubble quiz. And in this round, if you haven't played this before, there could be 0 answers that are correct, or there could be 1, 2, 3, or 4. So let's take a look at that first question then. So which of these are physical factors that can affect population distribution? So we've got climate, infrastructure, water supply, or soils. Remember, there may be 0 answers, 1, 2, 3, or 4. So what do you think? Put your answers into the chat. Which of those are physical factors that can affect the distribution of the population? And I can see lots of you are joining in on the chat for each of the rounds so far, so that's fantastic. So let's take a look. And there are 3 correct answers on this one: climate, water supply, and soils. Because the infrastructure there, that is a human factor that is going to affect the population distribution. Things that we are building to try and create a good settlement for places for people to live in. Okay, let's take a look at the next one then. So, which of the following affects how successful agriculture on a specific soil may be? And obviously we need to know about 2 soil types. So consider those when you are selecting your answers here. Remember, it can be anything from 0 to 4 correct answers. So which of the following affects how successful agriculture on a specific soil may be? Remember, we can think about all different types of agriculture here as well. Got a few answers coming through. Good, a couple saying all, a couple saying A, B, and D. Let's take a look. It is all of them. Okay, so the mineral content, certain plants like certain minerals to grow, capacity to retain water. If your soil was getting really waterlogged, that's probably not going to be so good for those plants. The texture of the soil as well. Remember, some are really close textured and potentially not so good for those roots to grow through. And again, the pH. So people that have beautiful flowers in their gardens, you may have parents that test the pH of the soil because certain plants, again, like certain pHs of soil. Okay, let's take a look at the next one. And the next one is relief is another key factor that affects farming potential. Which of the following relates to relief? And there's a couple of words here that look very similar. So we've got latitude, aspect, the angle of the slope, and the altitude. So again, is there 0, 1, 2, 3, or 4 correct answers for this one? So we're thinking about relief here. And well done to those people who are putting things in the chat. It's always lovely when people join along with us for these. Got a couple of people saying all. Let's take a look. It is those 3 things there. So remember, latitude is your angle from the equator. So that's not quite what we're looking for there for relief, but we're looking at the aspect, the angle of the slope, and the altitude as well. So again, if you're on a hilly farm, potentially, you might not have crops, you might have sheep instead. So next question then. Which of the following statements about population density are correct? So is it measured by the number of people in every 100 square miles? Is it the number of people in a given area? High density means sparsely populated, or few people means densely populated. Read those options carefully because you could easily be tricked within one of these. There's a lot of vocabulary in here which could trip you up. Well done to those people that are saying the correct answer there. It is B. So density is the number of people in a given area. And if you have a map in your exam, they should tell you how many people were per area. So for example, if it's a choropleth map, they'll say how many people are expected per area on there or in that given area. Okay, lovely. I think we have one more question in this section. So final question for this section. Which of the following human factors can lead to population change? So improvements in healthcare, fertility rate, human rights, and cultural controls. And we've mentioned cultural controls already in the previous round. So which of the following human factors can lead to population change? Is it none of them, all of them, some of them? What are we thinking? Well done, Sim and Amelia Curtis on there. Let's take a look at those correct answers. It is indeed all of them. So improvements in healthcare, obviously, if there's better healthcare, people are, the death rate is going to decrease, but birth rate could also increase, the fertility rate. You know, people having more babies, less babies, human rights, that might affect how many people want to stay in an area, and cultural controls, obviously, again, that might affect how many babies, for example, are born in that location because you may only be able to have a certain number. Okay, Brendan, I believe it is back over to you.
Thanks, Fiona. Great bubble quiz there. Right, okay, we've got 3 10-second countdowns coming up. These are going to be pretty quick fire, except you'll have 10 seconds for each. So the first one we'll have a look at is 10 seconds if you can name which continent produces most of the world's sugar and cereal crops. Thinking time starts now. Okay, well done if you said Asia. Congratulations if you said Asia. Right, let's move on to the next question. Next 10-second countdown. How is global calorie consumption measured? 10 seconds thinking time to get that one right. Go. Okay, well done if you said, which some people did, more or less. The answer is kilocalories per person per day. Well done if you got that. The last in this little round is name the 2 continents where the majority of people consume more than 3,270 kilocalories per day. Your thinking time starts now. Two continents, not one. What have you got? Have you got these 2? North America and Europe. Well done if you got those. Okay, back to you, Fiona.
Okay, so I have got one of my favourite rounds because it makes me say things in a silly way. So each of these key terms are linked to agriculture. So we've mentioned this already. But the vowels have been changed to an alternative vowel. So can you work out the key phrase? Let's take a look at the first one. So we've got ixtin savvy, ixtin savvy. So if I swapped some of those vowels for a different one, what might my agriculture-related term be? Ixtin savvy. Vicky started me off on a nice one to say because some of them are really difficult.
But I think it's a really difficult one to guess.
Oh yeah, definitely. I think I've got it. I hope I've got it. That'd be embarrassing, wouldn't it? So let's take a look. It is extensive farming. So that large scale farming where lots is being done, but not on that intensive scale. So remember, intensive farming, we're thinking about the kind of opposite to that, where lots of crops are planted in one area. Extensive, we've got a lot more space to be able to do things in. Okay, let's take a look at the next one. Oh, this one's a bit more tricky to say. So, Seb Sost Tunsu. What could, if I change those vowels, what could this word be? And these are tricky. Think about all that vocabulary that you have learnt to do with agriculture. It's obviously quite a big section of population and the environment. Think about perhaps some of those. Oh, I think we might have Ed giving us the answer there. Well done, Ed. It is subsistence farming. So when you are farming for yourself and your family, you are subsistence farmers. Good. Well done, Ed and Sim there. Okay, next one. Arginok. Arginok. What could that be if I change the vowels for others? And I quite often find with these, I go through each of the vowels and I think, what could that be? Oh, I think Ironin's got it. And Amelia, yep, organic. Well done. I think you're getting the gist of this now. Okay. Our next one, Ugrabossanas. Ugrabossanas. What could this one be? Ugrabossanas. Quite like saying that one, actually. That's a good one. Let's see if anybody in the chat can get this one because we're doing pretty good. We're starting to understand this one a little bit more now. But it is a tough one. Let's take a look at the answer. This one is agribusiness. So we're going to put 2 words together there. So again, we're thinking about that farming for profit here. If we've got agribusiness, this is what quite a lot of our our farming in the UK is, where we are farming for that profit. It is a business. It isn't just for our own personal consumption or personal use. I think, do we have one? Oh, no, I've got a couple more actually. Oh, Grún Rofail Tuin. So we've got 2 words this time. I feel like the first one might just give it away to you. Grún Rofail Tuin. So maybe instead of a type of farming. Yeah, we've got it. Ed and Sim, well done. It is the Green Revolution. Well done, Amelia, as well. Oh, Bow Technology. Bow Technology. And this is our final one for this round.
One of those vowels hasn't actually changed, has it?
Oh, no.
But we have got it.
We have. Well done, Amelia, Mia, and Sim. Oh, and Imran. You in the chat this evening. You are on it. You are good. Yeah, biotechnology. So yeah, we had a stray O remain in there. And when we're looking at biotechnology, obviously we are looking at the types of things that are going to start hopefully improving the agriculture business, ways in which we could become more sustainable within farming, ways that we can be less damaging with farming as well. Okay, I think, Brendan, it is over to you for the red herrings.
It is, Fiona, and brilliant pronunciation there. I often think that some of those altered vowels would make great band names. You can imagine some of them headlining Glastonbury in the future.
Especially the Green Revolution one. That was a good one.
Yeah. Yes, definitely. Go for it, somebody. Your band name. Okay, red herring is next. Which of the 4 items is the odd one out and why? So red herrings are things that aren't quite in the right place. I'm going to put my neck out and say that 1 or 2 of these questions could be among the most difficult questions of the evening. Anyway, there we go. Let's have a look at the first one. This isn't one of the most difficult ones, just in case you're worried. Which of the 4 items is the odd one out and why? Have a little bit of thinking time on that one. Which of the following items, A, B, C, or D, have a read through them, would you say is the odd one out? Which one is the red herring in this little collection? And why? Don't forget to say why, if you can. Let's see if we've got any advice from the chat. People need a little bit of thinking time on that one. So which one is the odd one out and why? Okay, let's have a look and see. I'm not sure if anyone's got this one yet. It's large diurnal range in temperature, because the other 3 answers are connected with the tropical rainforest climate, which does not have a large diurnal range in temperature. Let's have a look at the next red herring. So if your mind's kind of attuned to the thinking behind these, which of the 4 items here is the odd one out and why? A, B, C, or D? So you'll see some things have reappeared, but which is the odd one out in this collection? Again, have a little bit of thinking time on that one. All you have to do is put the letter that you think is the odd one out in the chat. Okay, let's have a look at the answer. Well done if you said it was very humid, because the other 3 answers are all about hot desert climates. So very humid is not to do with hot desert climates. Okay, I think a tricky old question coming up next. Which of the 4 items is the odd one out and why? Have a very careful read of these. So is it A, black humus, B, no distinct horizons, C, red or yellowish red in colour, D, 20 or 30 metres deep? Which one of those would you say is the odd one out and why? Don't forget, if you can put the correct letter, bonus if you can put why. Have a think about those. Right, I think we've got some correct answers here. Well done, those of you that put A. They lack humus, is because the other ones are all properties of latter soils. Okay, quite a challenging one there. Let's have another question, which might also be quite challenging. Which of the 4 items you can see here is the odd one out and why? One of these is the odd one out. Is it A, eutrophication, B, salinisation, C, structural deterioration, or D, wind erosion? Have a think about that. Which one of those is going to be the odd one out? And why? Don't forget the why if you can suggest that. What do you think? I haven't seen a correct answer yet, I don't think, but let's look at the correct answer. It is eutrophication. The other answers are all to do with soil problems. Eutrophication tends to be a bit of a water problem. Okay, and the final one of the red herrings, which of these is the odd one out? Is it A, contamination by fertilizer, B, increased water costs for irrigation, C, increased rates of desertification, or D, plants experience heat stress? Have a little thinking time on that one. Don't forget, put the letter and the reason if you can. Okay, let's have a look at the correct answer here. Contamination by fertilizer is the answer, because the others have in common that their climate change effects on agriculture. So well done if you got those. If you've struggled with those, go back and have a think about them, because I think they do make you think about those sort of issues, and that's quite a useful way to revise. Back to you, Fiona.
Wow, that was a tough round, Brendan. That was really
It
tough.
was.
But yeah, definitely gets you thinking that round. Okay, so on to a slightly simpler round if you're thinking, wow, my brain is now blown. So it's very simple, true or false. All you need to write into the chat is true or false. So first one, testing some of our key terminology here. Morbidity means the rate of disease in a population. So is that true or is that false? Got a couple of people already in there, already writing down some answers. Amelia, Rowan are going true, and it is indeed true. So the rate of disease, we are talking about the morbidity, that rate that we are given. Okay, second key term then. Mortality rate means the number of deaths. So mortality rate means the number of deaths. Oh, and we've got a bit of a combination going on here. We've got some trues, we've got some falses. Let's take a look. Again, we are looking at that being true. So obviously, lots of these key terms could come up in your exam question, so it's really important that you are revising them and checking them. Incidence rate is the number of people at risk of contracting a disease in a population. So let's take a look at the incidence rate. Got a few people putting some answers in. Well done, everybody that is still taking part and still putting answers into the chat. Let's take a check there. Is it true or is it false? So the incidence rate, this one is false, okay? So this time when we're thinking about the incidence rate, obviously there are lots of different ways in which we can report different things, but we're thinking here about the frequency in which new cases are being reported. Okay, let's have a take a look at the next one. The prevalence rate this time is the total number of individuals in a population who have a disease at a specific period of time. That's quite a wordy one, that one. Let's take a look at what people are saying in the chat. So we've got some trues, we've got some falses. It is indeed true. So remember, when you're thinking about prevalence, you're thinking about how many, or what's the importance of that number. Okay, do we have another? Or this term, the epidemiological condition. Some people refer to it as ET because epidemiological is a really hard word to say sometimes. Refers to the socio-economic development of a country that leads to a reduction in the incidence of infectious diseases. Now, this is one of my favourite things to study as part of the population and the environment unit, even if epidemiological transition is a really difficult term to say. We've got some truths going on there, and it is. So remember, there are different stages that we move through. And, you know, we start off in sort of plague, everybody is getting ill, to a point at which now the diseases that are, you know, the highest numbers on there are more linked to our lifestyle instead of poor sanitation and things like that instead. Okay, so over to you, Brendan.
Thanks, Fiona. So this is a linked task, categorise. You've got 60 seconds only to sort these factors. Now, the factors have to be things that affect the prevalence of malaria, which is a biologically transmitted disease. And you have to put them into these two categories, physical factors or socio-economic factors. So if you want to put this in the chat, just put the letter P and the numbers, or the letter S and the numbers. That will be a quick way of doing this. So you're going to get a minute, which has already started. So just put those into those two categories. Have a little think about that. Very interesting question here. So you're just jotting P and the numbers you think are linked to that, or S for socioeconomic factors and the numbers you think are linked to that. We've got some good calls coming through already. Because I suppose if you just put the group that are in one, then it's obvious the others are in the other group. That's one way of looking at it, which certainly Sim and Amelia have taken that route, and Ed and Amelia again is completing her answer. Let's have a look at the completed answer. So we see the physical factors are 6, 5, 3 and 7. So topography, drainage, rainfall and temperature. The socioeconomic factors are 1, 4, 8 and 2. Well done if you've got those. So socioeconomic factors are wealth, healthcare, technology and migration. And it's a bit of a reminder when you look at the physical factors there, that there was a time, believe it or not, when malaria was something that people got in this country. And there's some very interesting geographical studies have found, for example, that in the very low-lying marshy area in Kent called Romney Marsh, there was a very high prevalence of malaria a few hundred years ago, and it was largely due to the topography and drainage in that case. Okay, back to Fiona.
Okay, so a second round of the bubble quiz. So remember, there could be 0, 1, 2, 3 or 4 correct answers. So we're going for a slightly different theme now, and we are looking at what are the health impacts of ozone depletion. So we've got 4 options here: skin cancer, cataracts, reduction in crop yield, or decrease in oceanic plankton. So which of those are health impacts of ozone depletion? So we can take a look in the chat, because you have all been brilliant this evening. You are giving lots and lots of answers and participating really, really well. Good. Yeah, thank you, Amelia, on there. You are correct. So skin cancer and cataracts. Remember, the ozone layer is basically a bit like the sun cream for the planet. It helps to filter out all those harmful rays, but ozone depletion, so those holes in the ozone layer caused by things like CFCs, they're letting through those harmful rays, and therefore things like skin cancer and cataracts are on the increase. Okay, next one then. So the Montreal Protocol in 1987 led to a banning of CFCs, which reduce atmospheric ozone. So linked to what we just said there, is an example of, is it an international treaty, science informing planning, global governance, or policy informing science? So again, remember, it could be 0, 1, 2, 3 or 4 correct answers for this section. Let's see what we are thinking. We have a few people putting in answers.
Sorry, I've just revealed Fiona without.
That's okay. So it is an international treaty. Obviously, lots of countries signed up to the Montreal Protocol to basically agree with what was happening. It is science informing policy because they looked at the science and policymakers said, yeah, that's probably a really good thing. And linking to global governance there for the GSGG unit, because it is something that is important all across the planet with lots of countries coming together. Okay, let's look at the next set of bubbles. Which of the following are potential impacts of health due to climate change? So we've got respiratory diseases, e.g. asthma increase, fewer winter deaths in temperate areas, changing pattern of vector-borne diseases, a link in to kind of what Brendan was saying there before, and heat stroke in temperate areas. So which of those are potential impacts of health due to climate change? What are we thinking? We've got a couple of answers going into the chat. Well done, those of you who are writing them in there. And this one, it is all four. Remember, there are so many different impacts that are linked to climate change. So hopefully you've looked at all of those different health impacts there. And some of those are familiar to you. Okay, the next one. Which of the following are vector-borne, so communicable diseases? Asthma, Zika, Lyme disease, or malaria? So which of those are vector-borne? Let's take a look. Okay, so we've got Zika, Lyme disease, and malaria, all of which are caused by some form of insect. So things like Zika and malaria are carried by mosquitoes. Zika was a huge threat around about the 2016 Rio Games. There's lots of worry about Zika. Asthma is not, it's asthma is something that we can develop or something that we are born with instead. Okay, let's take a look. Do we have one more? Yes, we do. So which of these terms can convey the scale of human impact on the environment in this time period? So is it the Holocene, anthropomorphism, Anthropocene, or humancene? These are some great words again on there. So which of those? Remember, it could be all of them, none of them, some of them. I've got a few people putting in the answers here, and it is the Anthropocene. So remember, we've got lots of different periods that time has been split up into, and the Anthropocene is one that we are currently looking at. Okay, Brendan, you are on to the big reveal.
Thanks, Fiona. Right, big reveal. This is quite a good way to revise key terms and concepts because you're going to see 5 things associated with the answer, if you like, that's in the green box, which will be revealed when we look at the clues. And the clues become easier as we go. So let's have a look at the first clue. This first thing, it is associated with population over time. As soon as you get it, you can put your guess in. The second clue is it can mean inequality of opportunity across generations. Okay, clue number 3, it may mean that the age of retirement varies between generations. Are you thinking you might know what this is? Jot it in the chat if you can. Number 4, it splits the population into 2 categories. This is a good clue here. Dependent ones that are over 65s plus those under 15 years, and working age, 2 categories. And the 5th clue, the number of dependent people is divided by the number of workers times 100. Has anybody got that yet? Let's just see if anybody's got that one yet. There are 2 very big clues in this. We haven't got the right answer yet, but the answer is dependency ratio. There were some good clues there. There was one correct answer, but keep some of those incorrect answers handy. They might be useful in a moment. Let's have a look at the second big reveal. Good news for countries like Nigeria in the future is the first clue. Second clue, South Korea used this to good effect. Third clue, an idea which is linked to the dependency ratio. Fourth clue, a limited window of opportunity for economic growth. And the fifth clue is East Asia's experience of this has arguably peaked. So some of you have written this as an answer earlier on and maybe writing it now, which is it's the demographic dividend. So well done if your thinking was along those lines. Go back and have a look at that one later if you're not quite sure. Okay, the third big reveal. It is a particular perspective on population growth. Second clue, it's linked to the idea of overpopulation. Third clue, the Club of Rome commissioned the influential Limits to Growth report, which took this perspective. Fourth clue, Esther Boserup's work is seen as a counterpoint to this. And this is a really big clue here. A modern take on the idea of Thomas Malthus, who lived from 1766 to 1834. Has anybody got that one? Because it's very nearly, but not quite. It's neo-Malthusian as opposed to Malthusian, because it's views which are linked to the sort of ideas that Malthus had, but perhaps, modernized in various ways. Okay, back to Fiona.
Okay, so this time we have a 30-second challenge, and we've just mentioned Malthus there with his views. So give 2 ideas linked to neo-Malthusian perspective on population growth. So you've got 30 seconds. Can you come up with 2 ideas linked to that neo-Malthusian perspective? So you've had half of your time. And some things happening in quite recent history, which people suggest are those neo-Malthusian ideas. So we've got things like desertification, water insecurity, and famines around the world prove Malthus right, basically, where we have got population and resources not growing at the same rate. Obviously, there have been more people than there are resources, so he's saying is right. And we've got that limits to growth report with all the funny graphs on it. From 1972, global population will peak in 2030, with food production peaking in 2020. And a number of people say that things like global pandemics are another thing that we can link into that as well. Okay, so on the opposite side of that then, can you give 2 ideas linked to a more optimistic perspective on population growth? So who was our optimist? What kind of things were they thinking about in there? And well done for those of you that put things in there for the last one. So we've got 10 seconds remaining. Okay, then. So you might think of things like the circular economy being an innovative approach to resource consumption and to conserve waste or to conserve and limit waste. So using what we have, reusing it rather than buying new things. Increased population density, agricultural production can be increased by innovation. So things like aquaponics, hydroponics. Remember, Esther Boserup said that necessity is a mother of all invention. So if we need something, there's enough people around to come up with something to try and fix whatever problem it might be. Okay, so I think we're now back to Brendan and a true or false.
Thanks, Fiona. This is the home straight now of just a few true and false questions to finish off with. So the first one's about footprint. Footprint is quite an important concept when we think about sustainability. So in this case, ecological footprint is the amount of biologically productive land used to produce the resources for a given population and to consume its waste. Is that true or is it false? Put your guess in the chat. All you have to type is T or F. Take a moment to do that if you can. Well done if you said that was true. It's correct to say that that is the definition of ecological footprint. Okay, let's have a look at the next T or F. Underpopulation is when a population is too small to fully utilise the resources available to it. Think about that one. Underpopulation is when a population is too small to fully utilise the resources available to it. Is that true or false? Good answers coming through. Well done if you said that that is also true. Well done if you got that. Next question. Think about this one. A bit more to read here. I'll read it up to you. The population resources and pollution model states that extraction and exploitation of natural resources alter the growth of a population in a positive way. Is that true or is it false? So do you know about that model? Put your guess if you think you know. I think we have some good answers coming through already because that is not correct. It's false. Well done if you got that. And I think this could be the final question, which is this. Carrying capacity is defined as a population ceiling beyond which an environment cannot support people at a high standard of living without environmental degradation. Would you say that is true or would you say that it is false? Put your answer in the chat if you can. Well done if you got that right. That one is, let's see the answer, true. Excellent work. Okay, we have now finished all the questions. So thank you very much, guys.
Yeah, thank you very much for all of the answers in the chat. And of course, thank you very much to Brendan and Fiona for presenting and giving us lots of sort of additional bits of information as they were sort of responding to your answers. So thank you very much for that. Remember, this is the 8th one of these that we've done. We've been doing these since January, although we did have a bit of a break in March. So if you haven't watched the previous ones or haven't joined us, please find them on our YouTube channel. We are back next week. Fiona, I think you're joining us next week.
I am indeed.
With
Catherine. Next 2 weeks, I am.
And we are looking at hot deserts that week. So that will be Wednesday, 5:30 next week. So hopefully we'll see some of you there. We do appreciate, though, that is a option which is not massively popular. So we'll see. But or is it hot desert or is it glaciation, Fiona?
Glaciation.
We've actually
next week,
did hot deserts. That was our last one, wasn't it? Which
Yeah.
was not overly popular because so few people do it. So hopefully there'll be lots of us watching the glaciation one. So thank you very much. Hopefully we'll see you next week. And again, like I've said, lots and lots of our previous live streams for you to watch on our YouTube channel. So just for me, just to wish you all a good evening and to say thanks to Fiona and Brendan. Okay, goodbye.
Thanks very much, everybody. Bye.